Hello and welcome to the first ever sprint of Sunday League Virtual. We're here on a soaking wet Wednesday at Pool Ricard. One lap of qualifying is all these drivers are going to get for the sprint race that is 25% of the distance of a full length Grand Prix and is run in full wet weather conditions with 0 pit stops expected. The durability of the wets is 11 to 15 laps. The race is only 11 laps long. We'll have to see how the drivers manage this, who will come out on top. Token spendage is currently unknown, but they get to the end of qualifying. Who puts it on pole for the sprint? It looks like it will be Anti, followed by Jake Brad on the front row. A long way off him. Grandy in 3rd, Rito in 4th, and Hetmenica starts in 5th place. Remember, points are awarded to the top 6, from 1st scoring 6 points down to 6th scoring 1 point. They will make a minor contribution to your championship battle, equivalent to the gap between whatever you could say 2nd place and 4th. 18 points versus 12, 6-point difference. You can gain that back by winning the sprint. Not really that important where else the other cars are on the grid. We'll have a quick flick through as the Porsches line up on the 3rd row. Quite impressive for them. 7th and 10th are the Velocity cars. Spooner, Goose managing himself inside that top 10. Urus in the BAV outside of it, rebranded to British Aerial Virtual for this weekend. Sobel, another surprise outside of it too. Andres, also not a great qualifying for him. Vladinator pretty low. Kamikaze will start ahead of Applamazing. Time to get underway for the first ever sprint race here in Sunday League Virtual. 5 lights ahead of the drivers. We're underway for the sprint. Andy immediately, good start for him off the front row. Jake Brad fighting him into the corners. They wind their way through the double right-hander onto the long straight that will only be broken up by that chicane in the middle part. Jake just has the speed advantage. That is crucial. But Anti manages to get him back. Jake gets a poor exit. Rito is now up into contention. Jake down the inside. He goes. Anti battling him back around the outside too. Looking to go side by side into the final couple corners. Can they? Anti goes deep. Jake will keep the position on lap 1 of 11. Rito currently looking at a move for 2nd place. Goes side by side through the 1st sector. Rito has to temporarily back out. Anti goes deep. Grindy round the outside of both of them will take the position. That is one of the most amazing overtakes we've seen this season. It's come in the sprint. Rito finally passed Anti, but he makes a mistake again on the corner exit. Bluebell has had a rocket of a start up to 5th place. Jake still leading us away. Grandy up the inside of Rito. Can Rito fight him back? Can Anti try and salvage some good points here into the final corner? Right behind them, this pack of 3. Bluebell looking in the background. Rito with a very fast BFX. Immediately zooms up the inside into turn 1. They all go pretty deep though. This could really allow some opportunities, and the racing that we've seen so far, the action's been amazing, but Anti with that boost so powerful on that SFR car absolutely speeds away, gets a poor exit, but again pulls through. 2nd place for him on track at the moment. He's going to be looking to close 1.2 seconds to Jake Brown. Rito, then Grandy behind him, Bluebell and Hetmenica. This race expected to be somewhere in the region of about 8 minutes, just over 8 minutes long, being 25% of the distance that we normally run in a Grand Prix, so slightly longer than your average practice session, and of course giving points, not bonuses. Grandy up behind Rito. The front two have gotten away, but Grandy still looking for the sprint podium here. He might just get it as they go down, sweep through the flat-out right-hander for these cars, and have to wind their way through the very tricky final sector. Grip particularly needed, especially in the rain. Grandy goes a little deep there. That won't hurt him too much. Bluebell and Goose is running in the final point position. He started in 9th place at Manica, looking to close down. Urus already made up a few positions from his 12th place grid slot. At the moment, Grandy and Rito, Bluebell, Goose, Urus, Hetmanica, Kubo, Spooner. We can use this an initial indicator of the car performances, of the drive performances, before we see anything about the tokens just yet. They are all a little bit spaced out at the minute, but we can see Spooner in 10th, not quite the podium running contention that he had last weekend. Girouni, then Chulo in 12th. That's a poor start for him. Vladinator, on the other hand, has gotten himself up from the lower positions into 14th place. Sobel also not having had a good start at all, but it's looking to heat up slightly in the point running positions. Rito, Grandi and Bluebell still 5th, 4th, 3rd for them. They're looking to close in on Anti, who's looking to close in on Jake, and he is doing just that. I think the gap was 4/10 at one point, but it has stretched itself back out as we get on to lap 7 of the sprint here at Paul Ricard, Grandi, followed by Rito, Bluebell and Goose. Goose looking to pick up a valuable point. Not many of those scored this season so far, as you can see in the team overview. When looking at that, FVR only having scored 9 points so far in what is frankly not a very good car, one of the worst on the grid, I believe the 3rd worst. So any point today will greatly matter, and SFR looking to capitalise on what's been a surprisingly decent start for them as well, scoring some solid points and finding themselves pretty high up, so that's not bad for them. Anti chasing down Jake, he's really putting some power into it now. Into the double right-hander, he's really closed up and he needs to make sure he gets a good exit. He was so fast through the first sector. Can he close in into the chicane? Will Jake mess up the exit? No, he keeps it clean, but Anti still faster through the apex there. They head down into the right-hand sweeper now as their tyres start to struggle. Anti, I think, was a little bit off the racing line. His car was not quite pointing in the right direction. That's lost him just a few tenths. That could come in crucial unless he gets another really good run through turns 1 and 2 here, and he does. He's right up to the back of Jake. This is for the win in the sprint. He has to follow him just through that double right-hander. Doesn't have the grip on the exit to fight. Anti versus Jake into the chicane. They go side by side, and Anti pulls off the move, but on the exit finds zero grip. That was amazing. They just reached the braking zone. Line astern, not even that, wheel to wheel as they go down through the final sector very similarly as well. But coming through the chicane, Anti did not have the grip, could not find any grip on the outside line in these very wet conditions. 2 laps left in the sprint. Can Anti take the first ever sprint win? Can Jake win? Just as he did in Monaco, taking his first ever Grand Prix victory. Anti boosts himself ahead into the chicane, needs to keep it tidy this time, but he goes wide again. That's immediately allowed Jake back up the inside, and he closes the door into the right hand, and they come up to the lapped cars, which won't play too much of a factor hopefully in the race, but of course not going all that quickly. Onto one final lap of running here. Anti 2.5 tenths ahead of Jake, caught behind pit crew. Jake seizes the opportunity, goes up the inside of the tight right-hander, but gets a penalty for his troubles just where you need acceleration the very most onto that very long initial straight. Jake has none of it from that penalty. And Anti coasting through here now. He looks to have the clear upper hand. He has put in a spectacular performance for an SFR team, only rising and rising, but he's pushed wide at the final corner, nearly puts that win in jeopardy, but he will hold on, and Anti takes the sprint race. Jake behind, then Rito, and Bluebell takes 4th, Goose in 5th, Grandi fell off at the end there, he'll finish in 6th, take the final points to be scored. There's Kubo and Urist Hetmenica as well. Spuda and Girouni. The good thing about these sprints is that you will get to see every single car finish, and I don't think any of them should be making any pit stops. Vladinator, Julo, Sobel, and then Hanandi goes through the final sector, being chased down by Komi, who's in a respectable 16th position, so not too bad for the Fuerza Roja team, who have had very bad performances thus far. Hanandi, then it's Komi, and Andries in a shocking 17th. WTEC not performing well at all here today in France. Apple amazing, then it's Ikoloski and pit crew right behind. Great for them. Anti takes the fastest lap. We've done the full grid rundown already. That race was done in just 6 minutes and a half, so it might be an indication of a slightly shorter full Grand Prix perhaps. But that's it for now. I really hope you enjoyed the sprint. We've got the full race coming up in 1 hour and 45 minutes time. I'll see you then.